So this square is Mosaic knitting, which is a really super cool way of knitting color work because it's very easy. So we're going to be knitting it from a chart, and you know we're knitting flat, right? And so normally when you would knit flat, you would see your wrong side numbers over here. But in Mosaic, you actually work both each line of the chart twice. So row 1 is you knit and then you knit back. And you are always going to work only one color per row. And the very first square will tell you which color you're going to work. So my first row, and I'll just refer to them as rows because they're paired. So my first row was done in gray, so I knitted across and I knitted back. Now my second row, because I have a little gold square right there, is going to be worked in gold. So as soon as I can find my tail, there we go. So I'm going to work every gold stitch, and I'm going to slip any stitch that is not gold. So this is going to be knit 1, slip 1, knit 2, slip 1, knit 3, knit 2, slip 1, and knit to the end. So we're not carrying any yarns behind. We're not doing anything crazy like that, right? We're going to knit 1, we're going to slip a stitch, and we're going to knit 2, and we're going to slip a stitch, and we're going to knit 2, and slip a stitch, and then we're knitting to the end. And since this is not any special technique, I'm just going to go ahead and just knit this whole thing continental style, because it's really, that technique is really just in the understanding of the chart. Okay, so now I've worked it this way. So now I'm going to turn around, I'm going to come back, and I'm going to work it the opposite direction. So I'm going to knit all of my gold stitches. When I get to my gray stitch, I'm going to slip it. And this time, I'm always going to be slipping those stitches with the yarn to the back side of the work. So when I slip it here, I'm going to slip it technically with the yarn in front. Okay, so my yarn's in back because I'm going to knit. So I'm going to knit all of my gold stitches. And then I see a silver stitch coming up. I'm going to slip that one, so I'm going to pull my yarn to the front side of my work. I'm going to slip that next stitch, take my yarn to the back side of my work, and knit my 2 gold. Bring my yarn to the front, slip that next stitch, take my yarn to the back, knit my 2 gold. Bring my yarn to the front of the stitch, take my yarn back, and knit that last one. And of course, this last stitch is a little wacky just because we've just started our yarns there. Okay, so now, let me tighten these little guys up for a second. I'm now going to work row number 3, and row number 3 is in gray. So I'm going to work my first 2 stitches in gray, and you'll notice that when I do that, I am able to go ahead and capture that gray stitch that had been slipped. So I knit 1 and 2, and then I'm going to slip 1 gold, and I'm going to be knitting 3 in the gray, slipping that 1 in the gold, and knitting to the end in the gray. And you'll have the chart in front of you. You should be able to see this without any problem when you're at home. Okay, and then I am now at the end of that row, so I'm going to turn my work, and I'm still on row 3, and I'm going to knit in my gray back. And when I get to any of those gold stitches, I'm going to, and I'll go ahead and switch the way I'm knitting for you now, just to make sure it's crystal clear. So I'm going to knit my grays, and when I get to the golds, I'm going to slip them. So knitting grays. And then I see a gold coming along here quickly. So when I see that gold, I'm going to bring my yarn toward me, right to the front of my work. I'm going to go ahead and slip that next stitch, take my yarn to the back, and I'm going to knit. So we always want those little floats to hide to the wrong side. Take my yarn back and knit my last 2 stitches. And so you can already see you're getting this kind of cool little shape in Mosaic. And I'm going to go ahead and knit it a little bit more so you can have a really good idea of what it's going to look like. So I will show you in just a sec. Okay, so I went ahead and just worked that first little repeat of the chart, and I thought I would show you what it looks like. So you get this nice texture on it, and it's really fun. What you don't want to see anywhere are these little floats that are here in the back. You don't want to see anything like that on the front side. So you want to make sure you're just seeing all kinds of essentially garter stitches. And you'll see the occasional elongated stitch. That is totally normal. That's where you slipped a stitch. And that's what helps give Mosaic this really interesting texture. So one other thing is, when you finish the row, take that yarn to the back of your work, pick your other yarn up underneath, and then you're ready to go. And you're just going to create this nice little braid up the side. Not that it really matters because that's going to get seamed in this one, but it helps the yarn stay a little bit more controlled as you go. So that's Mosaic. Have fun with it.